In this video, we're going to explore how to use the what if analysis tool within Excel. So let's say we're keeping track of our grades in a course. Not this course, of course. Let's deal with one of your other courses. In this one, there might be participation grade, which is 5%. You might have assignments, which are worth 25%. And then you might have a midterm, which is worth 30%. And then you're going to have a final exam worth 40%. Now your grades, so let's say put up your weight and then your actual grade. So let's say your participation grade is excellent. You have let's say a 90% in your participation. On your assignments, you did pretty good. You got 75. On your midterm, you were a little weak. You got 60. And you're going into your final exam. Now you want to know what you need to get on your final exam to pull off an A in this course. So let's actually calculate what your final grade would be. All right. Now to do your final grade, what we're going to do is actually use a fancy function you may not have seen before, but why not learn a new function called sum product. Sum product. And what it does is it takes a range here, and then it multiplies each one of those by its corresponding entry in this range. And that will actually calculate our final grade. A 41, that's not great. Well, don't panic. You don't have a final exam grade in there yet. So let's see if you pass the final exam, what your final grade will be. Then you'll get a 60. But if you get an 80 on your final exam, you'll end up with a 73. Well, you could keep doing this and try to drill down and try to figure out exactly what you need on your final exam to get that 80 in the course. Turns out you're somewhere around 98 is what you would need in this particular scenario. Now, is there a more advanced way of doing this? Absolutely. So first of all, let's make it a little easier to change that, to get that 80. Let's say you got a 75 on the midterm. That's going to make your life a little bit easier. But what I'm going to do is go to the Data tab and then go to What If Analysis. And the only one of these we're going to really look at today is GoalSeek. There are some other advanced what if analysis you can be using, there's dozens of features in Excel that we haven't even touched in this course. But let's take a look at GoalSeek. What I'm looking for is I want my final grade cell right there, D8, and I want that to be an 80. And then what I want you to do, Excel, is change the cell D6. All right, and now Excel has calculated if we get exactly 85.625 on our final grade, on our final exam, then our final grade will be an 80. You're like, maybe I can't pull that off. Let's do another what if analysis and say, what if I want that one to be a 70? What do I need to actually get a 70 in this course? Oh, I only need a 60 on my final exam. And what if you're really being not very ambitious and you're like, okay, what do I need to pass this course? I can do a what if analysis and say, all right, I want my final grade just to be 50 and modify my final exam grade. And you're like, oh, I only need 10% on my final exam to pass this course. I'm fine. Let's go to the movie. What we've done today is play with what if analysis. The GoalSeek tool is very straightforward. It can be used for more advanced functions. For example, I'll bring up a new worksheet here. And let's just say I have a number. And right now it's 10. And say, for example, I have a more advanced formula. So it's going to be, and I'm going to actually name my cell here. I'm actually going to name my cell here num, just to make my life easier. And in this cell, I'm going to take num plus 3 times num plus 2 times num squared minus num cubed. So it's a bit more of a complicated formula. It's the number plus 3 times the number plus 2 times the number squared minus the number cubed. All right, so for the number 10, it's minus 760. Again, I can go to my data what if analysis and I can do my GoalSeek and say, for example, I want to know what value of number will actually make this 0. So I want to set that cell to be 0 by changing this cell. if you notice, this number here is actually very, very close to 0. In fact, if I illustrate it this way, you can really see that it made that close to 0. So the root of that function that I just gave it is somewhere around 3.236. All right, so that's just an example of using a more advanced formula with the what-if scenario.